What's up, Borderline Superpowers, back with another video. I'm trying out this new cinematic mode on my camera just to see how it is in videos. Today we're going to talk about dissociation. And I'm going to try not to dissociate while talking about dissociation. So we'll see how that goes. You'll know if I dissociate because it's kind of like this. So literally kind of like that. Even though I was acting, actually dissociating is way different from me acting like it, of course, but that was like the best I could do with it. But yeah, see, I almost like dissociated right there. It's like, all right, so first we're gonna explain why, or at least this is my personal, these are all my personal opinion, the personal experiences within BPD. So this is why I think dissociation happens. Sure, there can be plenty of reasons for different people, but for me, it all has to do with becoming triggered. Whether that's being in an environment that's triggering, whether that's remembering certain triggering traumatic events, like how to take us out of our mind at that specific moment. And yeah. So for me, dissociation will come about like I'll think of like an old thing that happened to me that's traumatic, and then I'll temporarily become stuck on that very deeply, and it'll affect my emotions very deeply within seconds, to the point to where I just zone out and I kind of go into like a whole other reality that's just full of, I don't even necessarily want to say negativity, because dissociation, like going out of your mind and feeling dissociated, it kind of feels like nothingness in terms of like you feel everything so deeply of whatever traumatic event you feel, to the point to where you feel like a nothing, where it kind of like numbs you like mentally, where you're just kind of like zoning out and stuff. So I hope that makes sense. I was gonna say, yeah, this is probably gonna be like a multiple part video, because dissociation gets really tricky. It's different for a lot of people. So I'll probably make this like a part 1. Anyway, besides that, so what are my experiences with dissociation, and what exactly does it really feel like? So I remember the first time I really dissociated and realized what it was. Well, at the time I didn't realize what it was, but I knew something was up, and I knew I had like a problem with it or something. And mind you, dissociation is a part of like the non symptoms that I suffer from within borderline personality disorder. I can make a video on all 9 symptoms and break them down and whatnot in a later video, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, so dissociation, my first experience was I was in 2nd grade. I had a bitchy teacher, and she was just like, I get it, people are supposed to pay attention or whatever, but we're in 2nd grade. It's not gonna be all sunshine and rainbows for somebody in 2nd grade, you know. Kids have a lot of imagination and whatnot. You know, they tend to daydream a bunch, and I've always been that type. I feel like that may be a common theme around people with borderline personality disorder. We're always constantly like daydreaming and whatnot, which isn't like a bad thing. That's just what I think. I feel like I've met other borderlines that like are like into daydream. Like daydreaming's just been a thing within us. I don't know if that's just me. Comment, let me know, you know. So I was like kind of daydreaming a little bit in class. Like sure, I would be listening and whatnot, but I was really big into daydreaming when I was a little kid, especially in school when they're talking about all this boring shit that really at the end of the day doesn't really mean anything. So I think this was like my reading class, and this teacher just kept like calling my name out, being like, yo, you need to fucking pay attention to me, you have to listen to me, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do that, and like all this. And it was just insane. I feel like the way she treated me was kind of like invalidating me. And let's be real, I wasn't like, if we're in 2nd grade, I'm not the only kid that's like daydreaming and not paying attention. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of other kids in there that was probably daydreaming and whatnot. But regardless, she ended up calling me out or whatever. And I mean, I don't even want to say I was daydreaming at this point. Like, it was like she called me out like a couple times, and then I dissociated. And then at that point, I really wasn't listening because I was in a whole nother fucking zone. And and yeah, it got to the point to where she like called my name multiple times after like the first two times. Like, so it happened like this. So the first two times she called my name out, she was like, "Hey, you need to listen," or whatever. Then I felt like a lot of anxiety come up and a lot of like racing thoughts and whatnot. And then that's when I started to dissociate. Then she called my name multiple times, and it felt like I just couldn't hear her. I felt like I just could not pay attention to her to save my life at that point, where I legitimately like was dissociating. And it got to the point to where she like called my name out in class. Like, she called me out in class and was like, "We need to talk outside of the room." And she was like, "If you don't get yourself together, you're not going to be able to pass the grade," and like all this other bullshit. And at this point, I'm really dissociating, and it got so intense to the point to where, and like she made it like a huge thing. Like I got called out of the room, and like the other teachers like also went out and like talked to me, and I'm like, what's going on? Like, is it really that deep? You know, I'm a second grader and whatever. And I mean, yeah, dude, shit was insane. It was really intense. I felt a lot of like, before the dissociation came on, I felt a lot of racing thoughts. Next thing you know, I'm just it was like I couldn't, it was like I was viewing myself in kind of like a third person point of view. Like, I was looking at myself in the classroom, and I was looking at myself, like I was literally looking at myself. Like, especially when she called my name out, it was like I was just watching it like a movie type thing. I get called out, all these other teachers come out there, and then I start crying. Like, I'm talking bawling. I start bawling out, crying, like, and then yeah, like at that point I was really dissociated. I wasn't even really listening to them. The last thing I remember, she was like standing a certain way, which was like odd to me. It like stuck out to me. And like the teacher, like when she was talking to me outside the classroom, she was standing a certain way, and it was really odd to me. And the last thing I remember her saying to me outside was, "You need to get your act together or you're not gonna pass this class," or whatever. Like, I'm a second grader. And then I just remember bawling out, crying, and then I ran to the bathroom. And I couldn't even go to like the actual bathroom that was close to me, because that was like getting like, it was like work done on it or some shit. So I had to run across the whole school crying, bawling my eyes out, and then I went to the bathroom. And then that's when I kind of came back to reality. And this was in second grade, like literally. So, and obviously at the time I didn't know what dissociation was. I didn't know anything about borderline. I didn't know shit back then. But looking back on it, that was like a good story time. And so now I got that kind of like first dissociation experience out the way. So now I'm going to talk about what it actually feels like, at least to me nowadays, because obviously dissociation is going to be different for everybody. And mind you, dissociation's like, this can happen to anybody. It's not just borderline. But in terms of borderline, I would say it's pretty intense, because it all has to do around our emotions and whatnot. So I mean, yeah, so the dissociation is kind of like, for me, it's kind of like I get all these intense emotions, these emotional flashbacks, these traumatic flashbacks, these like all of that traumatic shit and whatever emotional flashbacks is like all hits me like then and there. It's just like that, you know. And then it kind of like, everything at that point, everything feels like faded, not like weed or whatever, but like kind of like everything just feels like it's like a fucking saran wrap over everything. And it's like I can't really conceptualize things like within my mind, because I'm so trapped into these emotions. It feels like I walk down a dark hallway, and it's just like everything is just so like, I don't even want to say dead. It's more just like everything feels flat in terms of like energy wise, I guess. Because a lot like when we pick up energies through like within us, whether it's spiritually, mentally, whatever. So when you dissociate, it kind of like filters out that, because you're only focused on like these negative things and whatnot, and these, and like all these like traumatic events and whatnot. So it feels like there's like a fucking like wrap over everything where you just can't really focus on anything. You're zoning out. um this is what it's like to dissociate. I'm gonna try it again. It's kind of like this, where it's kind of like you're kind of confused about what's really going on, and you're just literally out of it. And sometimes it gets really severe to the point to where you start like kind of viewing yourself and it's like a movie. And that's kind of like, that gets to the point to where it's kind of like depersonalization and derealization. I can make a whole video on that. That's something I've experienced a lot um in certain points of my life. I was really like, it was really like derealization and depersonalization, where it felt like either nothing was real because I was so dissociated where I couldn't grasp it, or it felt like me as a person, I just was not like, I can't think of myself as a person. I can't think of myself as having a name and having this identity and whatnot. And I'm definitely gonna make another video on depersonalization and derealization. That'll probably be a part of the part 2. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I don't want this to be a crazy long video or whatever. This was just a video of me explaining my first real like dissociation I felt when I was a kid. Of course, I probably dissociated before that or whatever, but that was like the main, like, that story of me when I was a kid in 2nd grade. That was like the main one. And I remember it felt like nothing was even like, I don't even want to say nothing was real, because I don't think I was in derealization and depersonalization back then, but I felt like I couldn't grasp anything because I was so deeply like in my mind, where I was just stuck in my mind. That's kind of what it feels like for, like, to me, to be dissociated. It's kind of be stuck in your mind, stuck into all these emotions so much to the point to where you can't like even fucking focus on shit. You're zoned out and whatnot. It's kind of like you banging on your fucking head within your head, and you're kind of like, get me out of here. And then usually for me, dissociation, it either passes or I find like healthy ways to cope. And I'll go through those healthy ways right quick because I feel like I need to at this point. So I'm gonna probably give like 3 ways right off the top, how to manage dissociation. One is to go get nature, go get some sun, go put your feet in the grass. That shit, nature is everything, It's always been here. It's been here damn near before us. I mean, we are nature at its core. So that's something I really do, is just get some sun, get some nature, go on a walk, So anything nature related, taking walks and whatnot, getting sun, that's number 1. So number 2, I'd probably say, is to like take deep breaths. And so number 2 is going to be meditation and deep breaths. So this one is literally all about grounding your energy back to within yourself and to within your body, within your heart, within your soul, and kind of like getting out of your thoughts. Because sometimes dissociation will come on through us just being so anxious and so like anxiety filled, to where we submit to that feeling, and then it's just so intense, and then we end up dissociating from it. Now, that's the second thing, is just look up the Wim Hof breathing method. That helped me a lot. It's literally just taking fucking deep breaths over and over again. Inhale, exhale. Inhale through your, just inhale, like, exhale. Do that like 10 times, like really deeply and whatnot. And yeah. And then the third thing I'd probably say is to just journal your thoughts. If you feel the dissociation starting to come on, through whatever, through anxious flashbacks, through dramatic flashbacks, emotional flashbacks, literally just take out a pen and a paper and just start writing about it, whether it's through a poem, whether it's through just you writing like a story about it, anything. Just get those things out, express your emotions, like pen to paper, man. And that's all I can say. I don't want to make this too like crazily long. I hope y'all enjoyed. I hope this helps everybody out. If you have borderline, it's not here forever. You have a long way to go. The path is not easy. That doesn't mean it's not possible. I'm a year into recovery, or I'd probably say almost a year and a half now into recovery, and things have been getting a lot better. I still have a long ways to go. Just want to let you know I fucking love you. And have an amazing day. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And fucking love you. Borderline Superpowers is out. Peace.